Good morning, this is your Stat Sensei, Mr. Spensei, and this is a warm-up on reading computer printouts. So where did the money go? The British government regularly conducts surveys on household spending. One such survey, Family Expenditure Survey, Department of Employment, determined the average weekly expenditure on tobacco and the average weekly expenditure on alcohol for households with a random sample of households from 10 different regions in the United Kingdom. The data in the table computer printout of the regression. And they told us alcohol was our Y in British pounds. And also, when we read this, they also tell us that tobacco is our X in British pounds. Now, we can get a little more information than that when we go to read the actual printout. So we're always looking for that word constant. Our constant is our y-intercept row. So there's our y-intercept row. And then the next thing we're looking for is what right below it, and that's going to be our slope row. So this right here is slope, or our slope row. And this, I'm going to put y-int because I don't have room to write intercept. So y-intercept. All right. So the first thing it asks for is our explanatory variable. Well, explanatory variable is x, and x is associated with the slope, and the explanatory variable is right below the constant. So our explanatory variable in this case is tobacco. All right. The next thing it asks for is the y-intercept. Well, we know the y-intercept is going to be on the y-intercept row. In fact, it's the very first number. And so in this case, it's 2.01814. Next thing we're asking for is the slope, and obviously it's going to be on the slope row. And our slope in this case is 1.01528. Then it asks for the standard error of the slope. Well, standard error is right here. Sometimes it says standard deviation, but we know it's going to be on the slope row because it says slope. So the standard error of our slope is 0.28745. Then it asks for the regression equation. Well, there's a couple ways to write the regression equation, and we'll write it technically first, and then we'll use verbiage so we can eliminate definitions. So technically, we'd write y hat equals, our slope is 2.01814, or I mean, that's our y-intercept. And then our slope is plus 1.01528x. All right. And I need to go back and say, oh, my slope, that was letter C, and my standard error was D. So that's writing it. Technically, that is correct, but if we do that, we're going to have to define Y and X. However, if we sit there and go, well, we knew that Y from up above is alcohol, we're going to end up writing alcohol with a hat. Now it's in pounds, equals 2.01814 plus 1.01528, and then we'll put tobacco because this is our Y and this is our X. Also, remember this is our Y-intercept. And this right here, the 1.105 is our slope. The next thing it asks for is our t-statistic for our slope. And as a matter of fact, we are going to have slope a couple times, so we'll go ahead and mark those. So we know they're going to be on the slope row. And our t-statistic, oh, there's t, so that's it. So this is going to be our letter F, 3.5320. And then letter G is our p-value. So there's our p-value, and we know it's on the slope row because it says slope. So 0.0077. The next thing to ask for is our coefficient of determination, and we don't see that there, but what we have to remember its coefficient of determination is r squared. So they're asking for our r squared. And when we look up here, we have a couple of r squareds. And here's one of them. And so we have our two r squareds, but we'll never use adjusted in this class. So in this case, it's just 60.92%. Okay? The next thing it asks for is our correlation coefficient. Well, we don't have that, but correlation is the square root of r squared, which is just r. All right? Just r. So our correlation coefficient is going to be based on our r squared, but we also have to pay attention to the sine of the slope. So we're going to have sine of the slope and the square root of r squared. So the first thing we want to do is we want to find the sine of the slope. Well, in this case, when I go and look at my slope, which is right here, it's positive. So I'm going to have a positive slope. Now, I don't have to put the plus sign, but I'm putting it here for the note so that you recognize it as positive. And we need to take the square root of r squared. Well, to do that, first off, I need to take r squared and turn it into a decimal. So 60.92 divided by 100. And then I'm going to just raise it to the half power, and we get 0.7805. Positive 0.7805. And that came from the square root of our r squared. All right. Last thing we're asking for on the warm-up, it's asking for the standard deviation of the residuals. Please remember, that's our big S. So we need to look around and find our big S, and here it is. So our big S in this case is 0.4557. All right, that's the standard deviation of the residuals. Sure hope this helped. Should be doing pretty good at these by now, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you.